Welcome back here to Face Off. Derek, Kyle, I'm Ryan. Let's get right back into it with the topic I've been waiting to talk about all day, so I'm just ready to go. The Philadelphia Flyers, 3 games into their season, fire head coach Peter Laviolette.
Yes.
And I got to say, as a Flyers fan, I'm going to start this one off. It was a bit of a surprise for the fact that, here's my first thing. Yes, things were not working out great with Laviolette, but I have too much respect for the guy to start the season with him and 3 games in, just fire him like that. Like, at this point, why didn't you just do it in the offseason, or at least wait a little bit into the season before you fire a coach like Laviolette, who's gotten you to the Stanley Cup Finals, who, you know, I think is a pretty likable guy in Philadelphia. He fits the Philadelphia mentality. Just 3 games into the season, though, like, I understand they look awful, but 3 games in, you fire them. I don't understand the point of that. Second, yes, they've been struggling. They struggled last year. It looks like Laviolette's scheme was just not working out at this point, which is why I agree with the move. I agree with they should have fired Laviolette. I think they should have done it in the offseason more so than 3 games into the season. I didn't like that. But, yes, I think it was time to move on. The only disappointing thing I have with this is the fact that they're signing Craig Berube to a multi-year extension as the coach. I think you had to keep him as an interim for now because my thing is Berube's been an assistant coach on this team for years. Are they still going to have that same
mentality,
dump and chase mentality? The thing is, they dump and chase the puck. If you do that, you have to get down there and be physical and fight for the puck. And they're not been physical.
No.
They just dump it down there and try and chase for it, and they never get to it. Well, they can't set anything up in the offensive zone, so you need more physical players. If Berube has the same mindset, is it just going to be the exact same thing as Laviolette again?
Well, it really showed you talked about maybe firing him in the offseason. Obviously, they had some reservations moving in, and I think that they didn't have a direction if they were firing Laviolette. Now they hope they've found it. But 3 games, as many goals in those 3 games, something had to be done, and a lot of the time it comes down to the coach, because what else is there to do? You're not going to get rid of Giroux. You're not making a trade yet.
Obviously not.
So this is the only move that they really had available.
I'm going to say that it was rushed, just because when you go to 0-3, it's a bit too early for that, especially since last season was the shortened season. This season we get a full season. If it was last season, yeah, maybe I could have seen it a little bit more because you have less time to be playing. But the thing is, it's not even like Laviolette hasn't been successful with the Flyers over the time that he's been there. He has a .524 winning percentage with the team. So all in all, I think it was a bit rushed.
I think everything was rushed. Even giving Berube the multi-year deal, I think was a rush. But we're going to stay in hockey now and talk about the team who's off to a very, very hot start, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Derek, what do you think of their hot start so far?
I don't think it's very surprising considering how they did last season. I mean, last season's record of 26-17, they got to the quarterfinals and they lost to the Bruins team that went on.
Very barely, too. Barely.
Yeah, and they played good hockey. This team isn't as bad as they used to be. I mean, granted, last year was the first year that they bounced back and really played well. It was a shortened year, so you could skew it a little bit, but I think it's here to stay. I think they can grow off of this.
Kyle?
I don't think it's going to stay as long as a lot of people do. The goaltending really isn't as sound as it needs to be. They're winning a lot of these games. They have 5-4 goals, but they're giving up 3 or 4 as well. So I think at a certain point, offenses stop clicking and that momentum kind of dies down. That's when you rely on goaltending. And right now I haven't seen enough from them to think that they'd be able to do that.
I think they can rely on the goaltending pretty much. They don't have like a superstar like Lundqvist or Johnny Quick, but you have 2 solid goalies in Reimer, who proved himself last year, and Jonathan Bernier, who has something to prove. In the game against the Flyers, he was lights out on them. And granted, the Flyers lately haven't been good, but that first game, the Flyers got chances on him, and he stopped a lot of shots. So I think they have 2 really solid goalies to back them up. And it's just a young team. They signed Kessel to the long-term deal, which I think was fantastic. I hate saying it, but James Van Riemsdyk has been very good for them. Tyler Bozak last year was big. It's just a very good young team. I think they can rely on their goaltenders. I'm not at all surprised about the start. I expect this from them. I think they're going to be a real contender in the Eastern Conference this year.
They're a team that can play for now.
Absolutely. And the future. I think they have a bright future ahead of them in Toronto.
Yeah, Kyle.
There you go. That should be the team you like right there. You should like that. They're built. They're ready.
No goaltending. Well, I'm going to stick to my guns here.
Right.
I'm not going to concede.
Right. I think they got 2 solid goaltenders, but you have your opinion. And with that, we're going to go to baseball now. And before we get to the playoffs, we're going to talk, of course, the New York Yankees, because there's always something to talk about with the New York Yankees.
Fantastic.
No postseason.
No postseason for the first
postseason
time in a
for the
long
Yankees.
time. And we're going to talk about their manager, Joe Girardi. A lot of talk about where he's going to end up next year. So we're going to start with Kyle on this one. Joe Girardi, where will he end up next season?
Let me just start by saying I'm glad we're talking about something other than Mariano Rivera when we're talking about the pinstripes, because I'm so done with him.
We got that out of the way last week.
Thank God.
That's done with.
When you talk about Joe Girardi, I can't really picture him anywhere but New York. I know a lot of people like to throw places around like Chicago maybe, But when you talk about Joe Girardi, he's been there so long that I don't think if he's not there, he's not going to be anywhere. I think he would just retire.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one too. I think the Cubs idea I tossed around a little bit, and I thought it was interesting. Him in Chicago, I thought it'd be a different thing to see, maybe a unique fit. But I mean, he's had enough success with the Yankees that I don't see any reason for him to leave there. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he's making a nice salary in New York. I can't imagine that the money's the problem.
The hot dog vendors are making.
They're making more than the Cubs players. But no, I mean, I just can't see him going anywhere other than the Yankees. It doesn't make any sense to me. If he ends up signing with the Cubs, I'd be very surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the thing is, I think it would make perfect sense if he managed to go to the Cubs, just because, I mean, you look at his career, he has been with the Yankees for a while. Of course, the paycheck is great, but I mean, at a certain point in somebody's career, I'd imagine it's been said a lot of times, it's less about the money and more about what you want to do. Girardi's won championships with the Yankees already. They tendered a contract to him already, so I mean, to talk about it like he's not going to do it is a little bit odd. I think that he might sign back on, but I think it would make perfect sense to go back to Chicago. He started as a catcher on the Cubs, so he has a soft spot for the team. And I mean, what better project to take on when you're coming into the end of your career than a team that hasn't won since the beginning of last century?
Right.
Yeah. That's the one thing. I think he can build a team up.
But I don't think he's looking to build a team. I think he's at a point in his career where he's ready, almost like Cliff Lee is with the Phillies. He wants to win. If Joe Girardi's going to stay in, he wants to compete.
Agreed.
All right, we're going to stick with the MLB now. We're going to talk about the MLB playoffs so far. It's been exciting. I've enjoyed watching it so far. For the Phillies not being in it, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, Derek, we'll start with you since you're the baseball guy here. Who has made an early impression so far for you in the playoffs?
I couldn't really pick between two different teams, so I had to go with both of them, unfortunately. Definitive choice would have been the Pirates, but it's the Pirates and the A's. The thing is, with this Pirates team, they've fought the Cardinals so hard. And this is a team that usually dominates that division. Like, the Pirates are an afterthought every year in this division, and they're really fighting against this Cardinals team, which is a perennial challenging team.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm rooting for them. That's actually my final thought, to tease that until the end of this. But I'm all behind Pittsburgh to do this. Now that the Braves are gone, I'm eating crow. Detroit might be gone because I'm talking about the A's. Can Moneyball get a sequel, like you talked about last week? I didn't believe it at all, but they're making me a believer.
That's why I'm picking them as the team I've been impressed with so far. I picked them last week to win the World Series. I'm going to stick with them. I'm also going to throw the Dodgers in there just for the fact that they're the one team who has moved on so far. And they did beat the Braves, who you did say was going to go to the World Series.
I might have said that.
Did you say you were the win, right? Yeah, something like that?
Right. I actually said Detroit was going to win.
Or did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
you're still wrong
right now.
Senior baseball analyst.
No, I'm going to go with the Oakland A's. I think they are underdogs against the Tigers here, and so far, it's not over yet, but so far they've impressed me very much.
Yeah, I'm going with the A's too. I mean, I picked the Pittsburgh Pirates to make it to the World Series, so I'm not impressed with them. They're doing just what I thought they would.
Oh yeah, of course.
But the A's, they're doing a great job coming up. They've taken the series lead over Detroit. And they're making me believers. Moneyball too. Here we go. I'm going to sign up.
See, now everyone's about it.
I've got
now
auditions.
We're all for it.
You can get non-fat Jonah Hill for it.
Sure.
No, I want fat Jonah.
Fat Jonah
I want
Hill.
Brad Pitt to win a World Series. It'd be awesome.
Brad Pitt has to be there. If they win, he's got to be there.
He's got to be. He's going to be in the workout room. He's working out during the game.
Of course. He can't watch the game.
He can't watch the game.
He can't do it.
That's not good.
Bad luck.
When we come back, we will get to our game pick of the week in the NFL, final thoughts and game ball. So stay tuned here on Face Off.